Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today's build will be the updated Ultimate Void Knight caster that we did last patch, but now in 8.1 we have a new weapon. We're going to be wearing a different amulet, and you can get plus skill levels on your helm and relic that'll help push this low life, high damage smite build to the next level. You're also going to be able to cast not only more Devouring Orbs, but you'll be able to cast them faster and for such a cheap price that you don't even have to worry about the mana cost at all, thanks to the new two-handed unique Void Mirage Staff, the one that looks like some eyeballs on it, that gives you a whole bunch of bonuses. It gives you +1 to all void spells, which will be 4 out of your 5 spells. It gives you -5 void spell mana cost on top of -3 spell mana cost, so all your void spells and all your spells altogether will cost 3 less, but all the void spells will cost a total of 8 less flat mana. It'll give you more void spell cast speed, which again is going to be your Smite and your Devouring Orbs and your Anomaly and your Volatile Reversal, so it's all of the spells that you're using. You'll be able to reflect up to 100% of the damage that you take, which since you're a low life build, you're going to take a bit more damage. However, you won't be dual welding, which means that we're not going to get that 12% extra damage taken like we had on our other caster, and then you get a huge boost to spell void damage. In fact, you'll get almost or up to 300% spell void damage just from the weapon alone. Alright, let's go ahead and get into the skills. For skills, I'm running Volatile Reversal, Smite, Devouring Orb, Anomaly, and Lunge. For Volatile Reversal, we have this set up to give us some extra damage against the mobs that it hits with the rifts. It also gives us a boost to the attack speed and the move speed of the build for 4 seconds. We can also get our mana back if for some reason we do go negative. Volatile Reversaling has a chance to give you your mana back because we're not going to take the point to make it not give us that mana back. Of course, it's a little buggy, and of course, if you have the mana correctly on this, you shouldn't even need it in the first place, as your mana should mana regen faster than you can use it. Alright, we have 2 points in Traveler's Fatigue, 2 points in Ancient Reversal, 1 point in Incipient Void Rift, 3 points in Time Sap, 3 points in Catching Up, 3 points in Warped Time. Remember that this 30% attack and cast speed lasts for 4 seconds, and if you cast Volatile Reversal faster than that, it does stack. Same with the move speed. We have 1 point in Terminal Void Rift, 3 points in Dark Expanse, 2 points in Harbinger of Death, and 1 point in Time Lost Vitality. And that's dust, not death. I caught that. Alright, and remember, you have 21 points in this because the staff that we are wearing gives +1 points to all levels of void spells, so that is why you have +1 to it as well as Anomaly. Then for Smite, we have Smite set up to try and do not quite as much damage as possible, but with the setup as much damage as possible with the attack speed. Now you can spec into the lightning and get some extra hits, which will do some extra future strikes. However, we didn't set it up that way. We just wanted to get as much hit damage with it as possible, with as much attack speed as possible, because that cast speed and attack speed you get with it makes you cast the Devouring Orbs faster, because they're going to stop you every 1 second in order to cast. So having basically no cast speed on it, or very high cast speed, gives you no cast speed on it, so that they cast really fast without really gimping you. It looks more like a hiccup. So we have 5 points in Sacrifice for that 250% more damage. You'll lose a percentage of your health. That's why we're running this as a low life build, so that we can do this without worrying about it. In fact, the more we use it, the more life we get. 4 points in Atonement for that base crit chance, 1 point in Conviction, and 4 points in Deep Impact for that 100% strike multiplier. 1 point in Holy Wave, 3 points in Righteous Fury, so that we can put 5 points in Righteous Flurry for that 50% attack and cast speed, which is a huge amount. Now, if you don't want to spec into either the attack speed or you don't want to go into the critical strike multiplier and you want to stay out of the base crit chance, you can spec into the right side and get into these lightning bolt targets where you get lightning bolts, and you can get up to 6 extra targets with lightning bolt, and they can all hit the same target, so that'll be 6 more hits, and all of those hits will apply the future strike, so you can get some extra damage that way. However, I think this hits much harder with just the 1 hit than if you were to go that route. Then for Devouring Orb, Orb, you have 3 extra skill levels in this. You'll have 2 on the helm, and then you have 1 from the staff. And with those 3 levels, it's going to let you get even more orbs than you were able to get in previous patches. So we have 1 point in Dark Moon, so they orbit us, 1 point in Abyssal Rust for the move speed, 1 point in Cosmic Impact, so they have extra void damage, 3 points in Sightless Star, so you have increased cast speed and mana efficiency with them, 2 points in Void Adept, 1 point in Hollow Orb. This increases the duration, but the Void Rifts no longer scale, which is fine because we really want this for the Abyssal Orbs. 1 point in Abyssal Emission means that we will have every Devouring Orb will release an Abyssal Orb, which is a spell which will seek out every 3 seconds, and then we'll have 7 points in Dark Torrent for 210% increased frequency on those Abyssal Orbs, so that reduces it down to, I don't know, somewhere around 1 second each, so you'll be casting them very fast. You're going to have 10 plus orbs, so you're basically getting 10 hits a second thanks to this. Then we have 1 point in Cataclysm. This will reduce the duration, but this also lets the orbs erupt when their duration has ended, which gives you a nice AoE damage. And then we have 5 points in Orb Master for that 150% cooldown recovery speed, which puts the cooldown at 1.6 seconds with a mana cost of only 4 mana. You've never seen it that low, but the staff gives you so much negative mana cost to spells and void spells, you can actually get it down that low now, especially with some mana efficiency. You're 90% inside of this tree. Then for Anomaly, with an extra point in Anomaly, we were able to take 1 point in Time Lock. Now it does increase the mana cost by an additional 20, along with the 1 point in Time Lord, which is another 20 mana, which would give it a 40 mana cost. However, even with taking those, you have such good mana efficiency and you have such good negative flat mana reduction that this only ends up costing you a total of 19 mana altogether, and it only has a 12-second cooldown, so that's going to give you plenty of time to get your mana back. Now this time lock means that if you use it and you're next to a boss when you use it, they're basically not going to be able to do anything for 2 whole seconds. It's a stun for 2 seconds, which is really nice. It'll turn them purple, and it's going to let you basically have 2 seconds of invulnerability because they can't attack you. We have 1 point in Immediacy, 1 point in Void Touched, 1 point in Time Bubble, 5 points in Decimation for that critical strike chance, 5 points in Temporal Mastery, 1 point in Lingering Memory, 1 point in Time Lord, 2 points in Manipulation, and 3 points in Swift Rest. And then for Lunge, of course, we have this set up to give us that critical strike chance. You'll also be invulnerable while lunging, and you'll get some extra armor. We have 4 points in Into the Fray, 3 points in Tactician, 1 point in Deadly Aim, 4 points in Forge On, 1 point in Unstoppable, 1 point in Initiative, 5 points in Avenger's Charge, and 1 point in Brigade. You can change this point out of Brigade if you want and get the extra charge so that you can do your double lunge and go through monos even faster. The nice thing about this build when it comes to doing speedrunning through the monos is, yes, you have a little bit of a hiccup when you're casting Devouring Orb, but their AoE means that you don't even have to use anything else. You literally just keep lunging forward and they're going to take care of everything for you. For passives, I have 20 points in the base Sentinel class, with 8 points in Juggernaut, 5 points in Armor Clad, 2 points in Relentless, and 5 points in Time and Faith. I have 8 points in the Paladin, with all 8 points in Defiance for that elemental resistance. I have 0 points in the Forge Guard, and 83 points in our Mastered Void Knight. With 10 points in Abyssal Endurance, 5 points in Temporal Corruption, 8 points in Devouring Blade, 10 points in Sorrow and Steel, 1 point in Void Corruption, 8 points in Void Bolts, 10 points in Umbral Attunement, 10 points in Future Strike, 5 points in Echoing Strike, 15 points in Dread, and 1 point in Avatar of Regret. Items and idols. There's 2 types of idols you can wear. There's actually a lot of types, but the ones that you really want are the ones with mana efficiency or increased armor or armor shred on hit. Those are the types of idols that you can really, benefit from. The mana efficiency obviously is going to keep you from having to cast Smite so often. especially if there's no mobs around. It's going to let you keep casting things while you move, so auto cast will be more available to you. However, if you can see, like, our cost of Devouring Orb here is only 4 mana cost, as we went over. Even if you take a couple of these off, it's not going to increase the cost that much. In fact, it's still 4. Like, you don't really need the idols. The cost, because you have the flat reduction on the two-handed staff, you have -8 spell mana cost for them. It reduces it by so much already that the mana efficiency that you get inside of the skill tree is basically all you're going to need. So feel free to basically just do whatever you want with the idols. The mana efficiency will still help with Anomaly, but again, you can pretty much do whatever you want with the idols. Now, for the items themselves, we are wearing 4 uniques. First, we have the two-handed staff, Mirage Staff, which is what brings this build really to the next level, because everything about it screams Void Knight Spellcaster. I mean, you got +1 to Void spells, which is 4 out of the 5 that you're using. You have a huge reduced cost for them, a flat reduced cost. You have increased Void spell cast speed. You reflect a huge percentage of the damage you take, and you have a huge increase, up to 300% increased spell damage. Spell void damage. Then for our other uniques, oh, by the way, you can get this from gambling. If you go to the gambler and you hit him up with a bunch of gold, you just keep feeding it to him, buying Mirage Staffs. Eventually he'll give you this bad boy. Alright, we're running a low life build. We have Enzanglius on, and we have the last steps of the living. Now these are going to reduce your health obviously by a whole bunch. If you've noticed my health, it says we're at 0, but we're actually at 1, which is really weird. This is the lowest amount of health I've ever had it push me to, which is just crazy, because usually you sit at like 30 or 40. I'm not sure what's up with that. It seems to just be draining faster than normal. I'm not sure if it's the staff. It's not the staff. It's... Oh, I know why. It's because we have the amulet on it. It doesn't let us regenerate health. That's why we're at 0. Okay, makes sense. Okay, so we have the Enzanglius chest piece and the last steps of the living. Those two are going to reduce your health and give you a bunch of ward. Then our last unique is going to be the Conundrum, which turns all of the potion health, converts it into ward, so when you run over a potion, it's not going to suddenly jump your life up and your ward generation goes down. Instead, it just gives you a bunch of ward. This is also going to make it to where you can't leech life, which is great because you don't want to. You do not regenerate health, which is why we're sitting at 0, or technically 1 right now. You deal more physical damage when at full health, which doesn't matter because you're dealing neither physical damage nor ever going to be at full health, so we don't really worry about that. Then for the crafted items, we have the Shadow Helm, and we have +2 to Devouring Orb on it with increased void damage. We have increased echo damage when a skill echoes. We have poison resistance, and we have increased health. For the gold rings, we have increased void damage, spell damage, necrotic resist, and flat health. For the belt, we have void damage, ward gained on potion use, increased health, and hybrid health. For the left gold ring, we have void damage, spell damage, flat health, and necrotic resistance. For the noble gloves, we have cast speed, critical strike chance, flat health, and hybrid health. And then for the relic, which I love the new relics in this game, they're all such a challenge. They're all so good, you want to wear them all, but they have really these niche things that help almost every build that you could possibly want to play. And it's not like you're losing out on anything because their hybrid system of implicits are like all kind of equal in their own way. But for this, we have plus void damage flat for both melee and spells, which is going to boost the damage you're doing here. And then we have +2 to smite. We have spell, critical strike chance, elemental resistance, and poison resistance. For the character sheet, as you can see, we're not capped on all resistances. We are close, but we could use a little bit more physical. If I were to recraft and do some stuff, I would change out one thing of physical. I would put it on my gold ring if I could squeeze it in there with the necrotic resist and try and get it there, and then you'd be pretty well capped. 20% armor, and as you can see for our damages, we're sitting at almost 450% void. We have almost 300% critical strike multiplier, which we have another 100% inside of smite, so it actually is hitting with a 383% critical strike multiplier, and then we have 170% spell damage. We have 1500 health, but we don't have any int, so we don't have any ward retention. That's why we're not sitting super high. And then for the retention, I like to put Lunge, Anomaly, and Devouring Orb all on auto cast, and then you just start letting the orb stack up, and you're going to get a lot of them because now that you have those few extra points inside that seal, you can get the cooldown all the way down to 1.2 seconds, and because the mana cost is so cheap, you're just always going to have mana to cast them, so they'll constantly be going. Now, the cast speed of them is not too bad. If you see my character, you'll notice it's just kind of a hiccup. Like, you running, hiccup, but what's nice about it is Lunge comes off cooldown in 1.8 seconds, so almost every time that you actually stop to cast a Devouring Orb, you'll be able to lunge way ahead to the mob, so it's almost as if you didn't lose a beat. And then what you're going to do is, when those are on autocast, you can literally just run through monos like this. You actually don't have to cast Smite. You can literally just run and let the orbs do everything. I mean, look how many of them there are. They're freaking everywhere. And they do really good damage. I mean, they're critting for 4k damage on the training dummy, which means they'll be critting for about 500 damage on mobs at level 100, which is just absolute crazy. And then, you know, you can throw in some smites. Smite's going to be doing 50 to 100k damage on the training dummy, so it'll be critting mobs for 5 to 10k at end game. And then you can throw in time reversals, get that cast speed going. And that way you're just absolutely, I mean, just look how many smites are coming down. Look how many orbs you got. There's just so much damage going on here, which is just ridiculous. You'll see in the gameplay, we just clear through monos, we clear through bosses, and it is a really fun playstyle to build because if you feel like battling, you can go in with Smite, cast it, destroy some things. If you don't feel like it, you can actually do this as a full auto cast build where all you do is move your mouse. You literally just put those on auto cast and you just let yourself charge around with Lunge and cast Devouring Orb. Alright, let's go ahead and get into some gameplay.